What's going on, everybody? We are here with our week 7 part. We're going to go over the last 4 games on the Sunday/Monday slate, and we have the best games of the weeks. We started off part 1 where all the games were 40.5 over/unders or lower, and then in the next video, 3 of the 4 games were over 43 or higher. And now all the games in this video are at least 44 over/unders or higher. So these are the best games of the week. Doesn't surprise you because 2 of them are obviously primetime games. So we're just going to get right into it. We're doing some rankings here, talking about fringe players, who we would start them over, who we wouldn't start them over, and we approach things from a half PPR point of view. So in our first game, we are talking about the Chargers at the Chiefs. Historically, this game has been very high scoring. I think 4 of their last 5 games or something have been over 50 points or over 51 points. So hopefully this is a good game. Now, I'm not convinced necessarily it's going to be a high-scoring game. Chiefs' defense has been much improved. Chargers' offense has kind of looked a little hit and miss here and there, the last couple games especially. So we'll see if it is a big over-under or not, or a big, it's a shootout or not. It's a pretty easy game, though, in terms of fantasy starters and who you're starting. On the Chiefs side, there's no question you're starting Mahomes. The only reason you wouldn't start Mahomes is if you had Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen, but most people don't have that situation. So you're starting Mahomes. Pacheco is an easy start at this point. I keep mentioning it over and over and over. I was definitely wrong about Isaiah Pacheco. Didn't think his role would develop into what it's been. I thought he'd be a usable fantasy piece for sure. I didn't think he'd be potential top 12 running back. He's been really good. He's getting catches. I think he has double-digit points in all but the first 2 weeks. So they're really using him. They're targeting him. I love the usage for Pacheco. Kelsey is an obvious start. There's no questions there. We're starting Travis Kelsey. The only questions really with the Chiefs are, do you start any of their receivers or not? And I don't really want to if I don't have to. Now, if I had to choose one of them, I would probably choose Rashee. Yeah, I would definitely choose Rashee Rice. That's the receiver that if I'm going to hold on to, if I'm going to start in fantasy, it's going to be Rashee Rice. He's wide receiver 48 on the year in half PPR. He's had 2 double-digit point games. 3 of the last 4 weeks, you haven't been disappointed with him. 8.4 points, 11.3, and 9.2. If you get 8.5, 9 points from him in a half PPR league, especially this week with all the buys and injuries, you're super happy with that. So he did have a 4.7 game. It's just, you're going to get these games from him. You're not going to get consistency until they start using him in 75, 80% of the snaps. That's just the facts. He's not out there enough to warrant, he's not going to have big targets or big catch games. He can have maybe 4 or 5 catches. And if he catches a touchdown, you're happy. If he doesn't, you're unhappy. So that's kind of where we are with him. If you are going to start him in a desperation, because again, heavy bye weeks, he's the guy I would be targeting. I'm not going to start Tony. I'm not going to start Sky Moore, any of these other guys. So, Chiefs are very easy. So we'll just kind of move on from the Chiefs into the Chargers. Chargers are another easy team. You're starting Herbert, of course. He's the QB1 on average of the year on the year so far. Again, if you have one of the top guys, yeah, that's the only debate, but we're not going to talk about that. Eckler's an obvious start. No questions there. Keenan Allen's an obvious start. No questions there. I think Palmer is probably locked in 3 wide receiver leagues. I would say Palmer is locked in as a starter this week, especially. He's not, I think people, they get disappointed by Joshua Palmer because we overrate him a little bit. He's on the Chargers. He's the wide receiver 2 now. He's a good player, but he's not this amazing, huge, amazing talent. He's just a solid, wide receiver 3 on your team who can fill in and put up decent numbers. He's going to get 7-8 targets most likely, maybe more if they throw more. And he's going to get at least 60, 70 yards. That's what he's had each of the last 3 weeks since Mike Williams got hurt. And he caught, if he catches a touchdown, you're super happy. If he doesn't, you're not just super disappointed. If you get 4 for 70, you're not, it's not killing your week. It's not winning your week. It's just giving you a solid 9, 10 points or whatever. So that's where we are with Palmer. Guys, I would start him over. I'd start him over guys like Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, probably Romeo Dobbs, although I do like Dobbs' matchup. I think I can bank on Joshua Palmer getting a little bit more usage. You could get a dud game from Dobbs. I'd start him over guys like Curtis Samuel, Rashee Rice in the same game. KJ Osborne, I'd start Josh Palmer over. So again, this offense should be good. It's possibly going to be a shootout. So again, if you just take the basis of, all right, I'm going to get 4 or 5 catches for 60 or 70 yards. If I get more, awesome. If I get a touchdown, awesome. And those are very likely possibilities because, this game, again, could be a shootout. So I would start Josh Palmer. And you're not starting Quentin Johnston. Just we need to see something from him. Gerald Everett, like if you're desperate at the tight end position, like I'd start him over like a David Njoku. I'd start him over probably Luke Musgrave. I know that the Broncos are really, really good. It's a good matchup for all positions to play against the Broncos. It's just I could probably pencil in Gerald Everett for 5 targets in this game and maybe more, which I don't know if I can with Luke Musgrave, only because we haven't seen this whole team together with a healthy Dobbs, a healthy Watson not on a snap count, a healthy Aaron Jones all together. If you want to go Musgrave there, I'm not going to argue. It's a tight end. Either one of them could hit and one of them can't. So I generally want to avoid Gerald Everett. Sorry, there's this fly flying around that's bothering me. I generally want to avoid him if I can, but again, if you have one of the top guys, fine. If you have, but if, I'm starting him over like a Higbee, I'm probably going to start him over Michael Mayer. I just want to see it one more time. I'm going to start him over Zach Ertz, one of the Buffalo guys, Hunter Henry. So that's kind of where I'm at with Gerald Everett. Excuse me, guys. So we'll move on from this game and we'll get into the next game, the Broncos at the Packers. So for the Broncos side of things, like Russell Wilson, he's probably in the top 12 just given the bye weeks, the bye NATO for 6 teams on bye and all the injuries as well to certain quarterbacks and stuff. Here's the guys that I would start over Russell Wilson: Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Tua, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert. I'd start Geno Smith. I'd start Brock Purdy over Russell Wilson. I would start Jordan Love in the same game over Russell Wilson. Stafford, if you want to make the case for Russell Wilson, I'm fine with that, making the case for him. Stafford has been a much better real-life quarterback than he has a fantasy quarterback. Now, I will say this. I think it was I'm trying to remember if it was either week 3 in which he got that injury or it was week 4. If it was week 4 where he got like that hip injury, I'll see if I can quickly look it up. But if it was week 4 that he got that injury, okay, third quarter when a Colts defense. Okay, so it was against the Colts. So it was week 4 near the end of week 4. Since that hip injury, he hasn't thrown for more than 230 yards in a game. Now, is it related? I don't know. I know he's had a couple drops and stuff like that. So I'm not saying it's related, but it is something to keep an eye on. Like the first 4 weeks, we were getting Stafford of 330, 300, 270, 320. And then he got that hip injury, and now it's 222 and 226. So, if he gets you 220 and 2 touchdowns, he's probably going to be better than Russell Wilson. So that I'm fine with leaning Stafford over Wilson. It's kind of a coin flip for me. I'd start Sam Howell over Russell Wilson. I'd start Jared Goff. I would start now when it gets to like Kirk Cousins. That's where, to me, again, it's kind of a coin flip because of the 49ers defense and Cousins without Justin Jefferson. So I might lean Russell Wilson there. I think there's just a little bit safer of a floor, Russell Wilson. So that's kind of my cutoff. Those are the guys I would start over Russell Wilson. In terms of these receivers, again, I want to avoid Jeudy as much as possible. I don't know what's going on there. I think it feels like he's a better player than what we've seen from his career. But at some point, you got to just say, like, well, we haven't seen it. We're in year 4, and we haven't seen what we all expected to see. So I'm worried about it. Like, we haven't seen over 55 yards in 3 straight weeks. We haven't seen, we have a 6 catch for 50 yards. It's like kind of his only good game. He hasn't caught a touchdown all year. I'm kind of just out on Jeudy. Like, I don't want to start him if I can avoid it. Like, I'm gonna start Romeo Doubs over Jeudy. I'm gonna start Curtis Samuel, KJ Osborne. I'd start Josh Downs and Wan'Dale Robinson over Jeudy. So I'd even think about Kendrick Bourne over Jeudy. That's kind of where I'm at with him. Like, it's really tough to want to start him. If you need to, go for it. But I don't want to start. I don't want to start Jeudy. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just double checking something. Yeah, I'm checking what the Packers are. So Packers are good team to run against. They're not great for the quarterback or the wide receivers. They're pretty good in that area. So again, that could be a little skewed. 5 weeks, who did they play type of thing. So keep that in mind. But yeah, I want to avoid Jeudy as much as possible. Courtland Sutton, I'm fine with him because he's going to be targeted in the red zone. So if they score a passing touchdown, it's most likely going to go to Courtland Sutton. And, Sutton hasn't been that bad this year, especially for where he drafted him. He's wide receiver 30 on the year in half PPR. He has 4 of the 6 games. He has double-digit points, which you're always happy with in half PPR. One of those other games, it was 9.1 points. Doesn't kill you. He's only had 1 dud game. So there's actually a little bit of consistency here with him. He's going to get 5 to 8 targets, maybe more if it's a big shootout game. And he's going to be targeted in the red zone. So I'm fine with him. I definitely want to start him over Jeudy. I'd start him over guys like Josh Palmer, Deontay Johnson. I think I would lean Sutton just because a little more safety. Definitely over guys like Curtis Samuel and Romeo Doubs. So that's kind of where I'm at with Jeudy. To me, in 3 wide receiver leagues, it's really hard to get off of Jerry Jeudy. The running back position for the Denver Broncos. Man, it's so hard. It's so hard. Like Javonte, again, good matchup as of now for running backs. I'm fine with starting Javonte if you need it. Like, I'd start Javonte over like a Rachaad White, for example. Just don't like what I've seen from Rachaad White. I think Keyshawn Vaughn is going to slowly take more work from him. And the Falcons aren't the best team to run against. So, I'd start Javonte over him. Like, here's what I expect from Javonte. I expect to get anywhere from 12 to 15 carries, maybe more if it's a good game script. And then I expect to get 3 or 4 targets in the passing game. So I'm going to take that over Rachaad White. I'm going to take Javonte over. I'm not going to start him over guys like I'd probably start him over the Colts guys. I'd start him over the Pittsburgh Steelers guys. I'd start him over Kareem Hunt. D'Onta Foreman's an interesting one. I'd probably lean D'Onta Foreman just because I think that matchup's really juicy for him, and he's going to get 15 to 18 carries. And if he falls in the end zone, which is a good chance, you're going to be happy. That's kind of where I'm at with Javonte this week. He's probably in your lineups. To me, he's a low-end RB2. Jaleel McLaughlin, I like him. It's just, what are they going to use him? Just double checking his usage here. I do think you're going to get 7-10 carries, and maybe if the situation's right, and it's really going to be on like, what are you going to get in the passing game? We haven't seen a game of more than 3 catches for him. So to me, it's hard to kind of bank on that. Like, if it was more like Jaylen Warren, where he was getting 5, 6, 7 catches every game, I could roll with that. I could roll with a 12 to 15 touch game for Jaleel McLaughlin. But to me right now, we're more like 10 is like what you can bank on, and hopefully more. So I kind of want to avoid Jaleel McLaughlin. Like, I would start Rachaad White over him. I'd start the Pittsburgh Steelers guys over him. I'd start the Colts guys over him. I'd maybe even start Kareem Hunt over him. So that's where I'm at with Jaleel McLaughlin. And you're not starting a tight end on this team. For the Packers, Jordan Love, I think is a pretty solid matchup here. Again, guys, I would start over Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Tua, Lamar, Herbert, Gino. Brock Purdy's tough. It's kind of a coin flip. I might lean Jordan Love here because I think there's a little more upside with Jordan Love against the Broncos. Horrible defense, just all around terrible defense. Just to reiterate that they're third. They are the third worst against, or third best for defenses against quarterbacks. Over 21.5 points. We've seen Jordan Love in 4 or 5 weeks put up 20 points or more. We've seen him do it on the ground as well, so there's that potential. So I'd probably lean Love over Purdy just for a little more upside, but if you want some safety, go Purdy. I'd go Love over Stafford. I'd go Love over Sam Howell. The Giants have actually been sneaky good against quarterbacks lately. And I'd go Love over Russell Wilson. I'd go Love over Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins. So yeah, I'm pretty high on Love this week just because of the juicy matchup. On the running backs, you're starting Aaron Jones if he plays, which I think he's going to. You're not starting A.J. Dillon if Aaron Jones plays. If Aaron Jones is out, I don't love A.J. Dillon even if Aaron Jones is out, but you're going to get some volume there, so you're probably going to be throwing him in your lineups. So just keep an eye on that. I don't care if he's coming back from injury. I'm starting Aaron Jones. Like he's one of those guys where you don't need 25 touches from him. He can do his damage in 12 touches. So even if that's all he gets, I'll take that. The receivers, again, juicy matchup. So I'm going to start Christian Watson because of the matchup. Just double checking what his snap percentage has been like. I assume he coming off a bye. Right? They're coming off a bye, right? I assume that he's going to get a bigger work, like he's going to be full time now. Yeah. They're coming off a bye. Yeah. Okay. So he played an 84% of the snaps before the bye. Fire him up. I'm not a huge Christian Watson guy, but definitely think he's going to have a good week here. And Romeo Doubs to me is a guy that I would probably start as well. Again, a little scary because we haven't seen this offense with Watson, Doubs, and Aaron Jones and Luke Musgrave all on the field at once. But I'd start Doubs over Jerry Jeudy. I'd start him over Curtis Samuel. I'd start him over Rashee Rice, Josh Downs, Wandale Robinson, KJ Osborne. So to me, in 3 wide receiver leagues, Doubs is a start as well. If you're stacked at receiver and you have if you're choosing between Doubs or Drake London, go with Drake London. Doubs or Pickens, go with Pickens. But he's in that low end wide receiver 3 range for me. And then Luke Musgrave, we talked about, if you want to throw him in there, go for it. To me, he's probably a top 12 tight end. So I'd start him over Komet. I'd start him over Jonnu, Njoku. Everett, I kind of said, if you want to start Everett over Musgrave, go for it. If you want to start Musgrave over Everett, I'm fine. It's a coin flip. So I start him over Tyler Higbee, Michael Mayer. So to me, he's like a top 12 tight end this week. So we will move on to maybe the game of the week, the Eagles at the Dolphins. Super excited to watch this one. You're firing everyone up. Super easy game here. You're starting Jalen Hurts. You're starting A.J. Brown. You're starting Devontae Smith. You're starting DeAndre Swift. You're starting Dallas Goedert. We can spend a little more time on for example, a Dallas Goedert, but the matchup, I believe, is pretty nice. Just double checking if that's changed. I know it was nice last year. The Dolphins are, where are we? They are giving up 10.1 points per game to tight ends. So I'm just double checking if that's half PPR. So that's solid. I'm probably going to start Goddard unless you have a better option. And a better option is Kelsey, Andrews, Hawkinson, Laporta, Kittle. That's about it, to be honest. Maybe Waller you can make the argument for, but I'm starting Goddard and all those Swift, I mentioned. I guess we could spend a little time on are we worried about Devontae Smith? I think this game potentially could be a shootout, which is why I want to start him. So I'm not worried about starting Devontae Smith this week. And DeAndre Swift. I think I said that 3 times now. On the Dolphin side of things, again, you're starting Tua, you're starting Waddle, you're starting Mostert, obviously. You're starting Tyreek Hill, obviously. So there's really nothing. You're starting all your studs here. Like, there's nothing to talk about in this game. So we're just going to move on to the last game, the Monday night game, the Vikings at the 49ers. Kirk Cousins, I'm a little nervous about. Just double checking because I think we get a little bit biased with the 49ers. Like, oh, you can't start running backs against the 49ers. And actually, you can this year. They're not smashing, but they're not like, holy crap, they get nothing. They're not the Lions. The Lions are the team this year for running back. So, yeah. For the 49ers, they are really good against quarterbacks. They're third best in the league against quarterbacks. So be careful with that. I would take just kind of looking at it here. Again, the obvious main guys, Hurts, Mahomes, Allen, Tua, Lamar, Herbert, Geno, Purdy, Love, Stafford, Howell, probably Russell Wilson, Jared Goff. I'd take over that. I would start Cousins if you're talking about Josh Dobbs, Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, Kenny Pickett. So that's where I'm at with him. I'm probably going to start Jordan Addison. Again, potential shootout. I want to see him, or potentially a good game. So I want to start him. Probably going to be starting Madison, just kind of given the nature of this week and all the running back injuries. I don't love it, but I probably would start Madison just on pure volume. I'd start Madison over Javonte Williams. I'd start him over Rachaad White, the Steelers guys, the Colts guys, Kareem Hunt. I wouldn't start him over like Ramondre or Jahmyr Gibbs or Jonathan Taylor. No, I said Colts guys. I meant Zach Moss. I wouldn't start him over Jonathan Taylor. I'd start Jonathan Taylor over Alexander Madison. So that's where I'm at with me. To me, he's like a mid-tier RB2, so you're probably going to be starting him if you have him, just because, again, this week is tough. And then when it comes to KJ Osborne, I don't love it. Again, here's the guys I would start KJ Osborne over. I'd start him over Josh Downs, Wan'Dale Robinson, Kendrick Bourne, Josh Reynolds, Curtis Samuel, and that's about it. So to me, he's like just outside that wide receiver 3 range. So if you have better options like a Cortland Sutton, a Josh Palmer, Deontay Johnson coming back from injury, Gabe Davis, Romeo Dobbs, I'd start over Osborne. If you don't, then I would start Osborne. Just double checking. Oh, and Hawkinson's an obvious start. So 49ers, guys, really easy team. Again, we'll spend a little time on Brock Purdy. And these are the guys I would start over Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Tua, Lamar, Herbert, Geno. Kind of a toss-up there to me, Geno and Purdy. And then I kind of mentioned it, like Love and Purdy is kind of a toss-up. I lean Love because of the matchup. I'd probably start Purdy over like Stafford against the Steelers. I'd start Purdy over Sam Howell. I'd start him over Russell Wilson. So, that's where I'm at with Purdy. To me, he's probably a starter unless unless you have 2 quarterbacks and your top guy's not on a bye. McCaffrey's a starter if he's in there. If he's not, I lean Elijah Mitchell over Jordan Mason. I'm a little worried about starting Jordan Mason. I know he had the bulk of the carries last week, but Elijah Mitchell was the backup going into this week, going into the year. And then he got hurt with that knee injury, I think week 2, and he missed like weeks 3, 4, and 5. And then he came back in that game that McCaffrey got hurt. And I think they just had a plan with him. They said, okay, Mitchell, you didn't practice all week. This is the amount of snaps you're getting. Yeah. And we're not going to throw you in there unless they absolutely had to. Right. And they didn't. They had Jordan Mason when McCaffrey went down. So they just rolled with Jordan Mason. He's not on the injury report anymore. So I lean Mitchell over Mason. I do. So if you have to start Mason, go for it. But I would even think about Elijah Mitchell even if McCaffrey plays. If he doesn't, I think you for sure start Elijah Mitchell. So, and then, obviously, Ayuk's a smash play. Kittle, you got to play. The other guys like Debo, I'm a little nervous, like coming back from the injury. Hopefully, he just doesn't play and he just gets healthy. You don't even have to worry about it. If you have a better option, I would pivot. I would pivot if I can. One, you have to wait. If you don't have a backup plan, you have to wait until Monday night. If you do have a backup plan and you can get away with it, like even coming back from injury, I'd start guys like Gabe Davis. If Debo plays and he's been questionable with his shoulder injury, I'd start guys like Gabe Davis, Deontay Johnson, Josh Palmer, Cortland Sutton, Romeo Doubs over Debo. That's maybe not Romeo Doubs, but those other guys I'd start over Debo because I'm just worried he's just going to be a decoy. Now, if you're talking about like, do I start Josh Downs over Debo? No, I wouldn't go that far. So that's kind of where I am at with it. If you have a backup plan and you can wait until Monday night, okay. But if you can't and you have Deontay, Gabe Davis, Josh Palmer, just start those guys. So, hopefully you have a guy like a KJ Osborne. That's a really nice, like, oh, I have KJ Osborne and Debo in the same game and I can wait it out. That's a really good pivot. So yeah, that's where we're at. That's it for the week 7 slate. We're going to be done. And as always, like this video and subscribe, and we will catch you guys all next time.